It was a warm Tuesday afternoon in Cedar Springs, a tidy suburban neighborhood just outside Austin, Texas. Retired firefighter Mark Holloway stood on his property line, tightening the new lock on his wooden ranch-style gate. It wasn't anything fancy, just a heavy-duty padlock to keep out the stray dogs and wandering kids who kept cutting through his yard to reach the community pond. But within 20 minutes of locking that gate, the police arrived, not for a burglary, not for an emergency, but because someone had called 911, and that someone was Karen's teenage son, Tyler. He was standing across the street in flip-flops and an attitude, phone still in his hand, while his mother, the HOA president herself, was marching down Mark's driveway like she owned it. Mark had lived in Cedar Springs for 10 years, long before the new HOA board took over. He was the type of neighbor who helped shovel snow, fixed broken mailboxes, and lent tools without keeping track. Then Karen Bellamy moved in 2 doors down, a blonde woman in her mid-40s with a permanent scowl, an oversized SUV, and a passion for community regulations. Within 6 months, she became HOA president, printed out new rules, and started sending violation letters like confetti. Her son Tyler, 16, loud and lazy, had a habit of cutting through people's yards to reach the community basketball court. Mark had caught him more than once, stomping through his garden and even hopping his fence. He'd warned him politely the first few times, but when his dog started barking every night at random footsteps outside, Mark decided to put up a lock. He never imagined that locking his own gate would become a neighborhood scandal. "Mr. Holloway," Karen barked, her sunglasses glinting in the Texas sun. "You can't lock this gate. It's a community pathway." Mark calmly wiped his hands on his jeans. "No, ma'am. This gate is entirely on my property. This fence line has been here since the subdivision was built in 2001. Karen scoffed. "That's not what our map says. I'll have to fine you for obstructing HOA easement access." Mark tilted his head. "An easement, huh? You're welcome to show me that paperwork." Before she could respond, the police cruiser rolled up, lights flashing, siren still wailing. 2 officers stepped out, glancing between the neighbors. "Sir, we received a call about someone being locked out of community property," said one of the officers. Mark chuckled under his breath. "You mean this kid here?" He pointed at Tyler, who was standing there chewing gum like he was in a courtroom drama. Karen folded her arms. "He was trying to get to the basketball court, which is community property, through this gate, which has always been open. He has the right to access." Mark pulled a folder from his porch table. "His property deed." "Actually, officer," he said, flipping through the papers, "the HOA map you're referring to is outdated. This fence was built 10 feet inside my property line. This is not HOA land." Karen's face turned red. "You think you can just quote paperwork and get away with this?" "I am the HOA," Mark smirked. "And I was a firefighter for 30 years, ma'am. I know how to read boundaries and codes." "You're trespassing." The officers nodded, confirming his documents. One of them even said quietly, "Ma'am, he's right. This is private property." But Karen wasn't backing down. "Oh, we'll see about that," she snapped. "If you want to make this difficult, we can take it to the board. And the city." And she did. Within days, Mark received a bright orange notice taped to his mailbox. HOA violation. Unauthorized gate modification. Then came the next one. Failure to comply with HOA easement code. Mark ignored both, but when the HOA tried to fine him $500, he decided enough was enough. Mark drove straight to the county assessor's office and requested all property maps and boundary surveys for Cedar Springs. The results were crystal clear. The community path Karen referred to wasn't official at all. It was a dirt trail the kids had made themselves over time, a shortcut that happened to run across Mark's yard. He sent a formal cease and desist letter to the HOA, with legal citations attached. A week later, an HOA board meeting was called. Karen made sure it was public, hoping to humiliate Mark. When he arrived, people whispered, "That's the gate guy." Karen stood up front like a politician. "This man," she announced, "has blocked access to community land, ignored fines, and disrespected our authority." Mark waited calmly. When she finally said, "Do you have anything to say?" He did. He pulled out enlarged aerial photos from Google Earth, from 2001 to 2023, showing the same fence, same gate, same property lines. Then he read aloud the HOA's own founding document, which explicitly stated, "The association has no authority or maintenance responsibility over privately fenced areas." Silence. Dead silence. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. 2 weeks later, HOA Karen's son tried cutting through Mark's yard again, this time climbing over the locked gate. Mark caught him on camera. He didn't shout. He didn't argue. He simply filed a police report for trespassing. But Karen went nuclear. She showed up with her son, furious that Mark had criminalized a teenager. "You called the cops on my son?" she screamed. Mark, calm as ever, said, "No, ma'am. I filed a report, the same way you called 911 on me for locking my own gate." She froze. The irony was too delicious. The officer who arrived this time was the same one from before. "Ma'am," he said, "your son's on private property again. If it happens again, we'll have to issue a citation." Karen's face turned redder than ever. Tyler mumbled, "Sorry," and shuffled back home. After that incident, Mark became somewhat of a neighborhood hero. Other residents started speaking up. Turns out, Karen had fined multiple people unfairly for parking on their own driveways, painting fences without approval, even leaving trash bins out for 10 extra minutes. The board voted for a special meeting and removed Karen from her HOA presidency. A new president took over, and one of the first orders of business, officially removing the community path from HOA maps. Mark didn't celebrate out loud, but he sure did enjoy locking that gate every night, whistling as he walked back to his porch with his dog by his side. Some people think HOA power makes them untouchable, but the law doesn't bend for entitlement. Karen learned the hard way that boundaries exist for a reason, and sometimes crossing them gets you locked out of more than just a gate. If you loved this HOA karma story, hit subscribe and join us on HOA Karen Diaries, where every fence, rule, and drama hides a secret waiting to unfold.